Do you ever have those nights where you're not very tired, and sure, you could probably go to sleep if you really needed to, but you also kind of don't want to? And so you just stay up laying in bed wondering whether or not you're actually bored enough to go to sleep yet? And then you get the idea to write, and you know that you're not going to sleep tonight. So today in ethics, we talked about Aristotle's four causes. So this guy, Aristotle, right, a couple thousand years ago, he asked the question, why? Only instead of answering with one answer, he answered with four answers, because he lived at a time when apparently people were satisfied with inconsistency in their philosophy. God knows Socrates was full of it, and full of himself too. But this video isn't meant to be a philosophy lecture. It's meant to be a reason for me to write creative prose because I've been doing a lot of creative poetry lately, and I feel the need to write something longer form than a tanka. So let me tell you a story. About a month ago, my store manager announced that we'd be having a Valentine's Day competition to see who could make the best Valentine's Day themed drink. Now, I'm still pretty new, so I didn't really actually know how to make any of the drinks, and I definitely didn't expect to try and make a drink for the competition. I drove to school one morning. It was a pretty day that day. It was a sunny day. It was warm, which was really nice because it's been very, very cold for the past few months. And on the drive to school, the muse whispered into my ear. The muse whispered, "Strawberry kisses taste so good to me." And I thought nothing of it. And then the next song came on, and it was called Strawberry. And so I understood what the muse was trying to say to me. So that night I went to work, even though I wasn't scheduled to work, and I spent an hour and a half creating a drink. I consumed the equivalent of like 10 shots of espresso during that hour and a half, but by the end I had created the drink that the muse had commanded. Now, I'm telling you this story, not because I think that it's important to you, but because it's important to me. Aristotle would point out that the materials that make up this drink are syrup and milk and espresso. Now, to be fair, pretty much everything on the Starbucks menu is made up of some combination of syrup and milk and espresso, so Aristotle wouldn't find much difference between a strawberry kiss and a strawberry frappuccino. Aristotle would say that the form of this drink is in its layers. It's a two-layered drink, one of which is hot and thick, the other of which is cold and fluffy. Now, this isn't unheard of in Starbucks drinks, and it's far from a novel idea, so my drink might not be formally special either. So finally, Aristotle would ask us to consider the purpose of the drink. Now, the purpose of my drink, like all drinks, is to be drank. It's meant to be enjoyed. And I think that's true of most drinks, not just at Starbucks, but in general. And thus, if we look at my drink from these three causes, there's literally nothing special about it, because it's the same thing, fundamentally, as any other Starbucks product. Now, of course, an attentive listener will recognize that I'm omitting the fourth cause, for narrative and dramatic effect. But don't worry, we'll get there eventually. Twice have a song called Strawberry, and they don't use the word strawberry once in the entire song. This is actually really uncommon for a Twice song, because their label wants to market their songs as broadly as possible, which means that the title should be included in the lyrics so you won't forget what the name of the song is. But Strawberry wasn't written by JYP or any of the dozens of songwriters that have worked with Twice over the years. Strawberry was written by Chaeyoung, who probably doesn't care as much about the marketability of her song as she cares about the song reflecting her artistic vision. And Strawberry is one of the best Twice songs, so I don't think JYP is in a position to argue. But the muse that whispered in my ear that day wasn't Chaeyoung, nor was it a line from Strawberry. The muse is named Mina, and she was singing a line that was written by Jihyo for a song that wasn't even written when Strawberry was released. But I'm not deluded enough to expect that you care about the intricacies of K-pop lyrics. I tell you this only because the muse, who is named Mina, whispered into my ear that morning, and I made a drink because she told me to. I work with a fairy. This isn't to say that I work with a muse. I could only dream of working with Mina. Rather, I work with a fairy. She taught me how to make cinnamon cold foam, which inspired me to make strawberry cold foam, but that's not the story that I want to tell today. One day, the fairy came into work and said, "Hi, Brian." And I said, "Hi, fairy, how are you this wonderful day?" And she replied, "I'm good, and it is a wonderful day, isn't it?" Now, this caught me off guard, because normally people don't respond to "how are you" with anything more than "good." So I asked her, what's so wonderful about it? She said that it was starting to warm up, and this is true. It had snowed quite a bit the week before, but it was beginning to melt. It was a sunny day, she said, a pretty day. And then she said, sometimes I miss the pretty days because I think that they're bad days. Isn't that a curious sentence? Sometimes I miss the pretty days because I think that they're bad days. Because pretty days and bad days aren't mutually exclusive, of course. It's possible for a day to be both pretty and bad, and it's possible for a day to be neither pretty nor bad. But she didn't say, sometimes I miss the pretty days because they're bad days. She said, sometimes I miss the pretty days because I think they're bad days. She's taking a level of responsibility there for her perception of the day. A day can be objectively pretty and it can be subjectively bad. And if we assume that a day is bad before we've seen the day per se, then we miss the pretty day, now don't we? But we can also state the inverse, can't we? Sometimes I miss the bad days because I think that they're pretty days. And this is of course the goal, to let a pretty day itself determine your mood to the point where you miss what could have been a bad day. It's the responsibility of the observer to decide what type of day it is. Bad days and pretty days aren't things that happen to you, they're things that you choose to experience. Now, Aristotle, it should be noted, didn't do much mathematical philosophy. He had the idea that an object can be described by 4 clauses, but did he ever imagine that you could describe 4 clauses and use that description to create an object? This type of swapping of objects and subjects is so common in mathematics that we have a word for it, inversion. But Aristotle didn't do much inversion, just like he didn't do much of anything useful outside of ethical philosophy. Sometimes I miss the pretty days because I think that they're bad days. Aristotle's 4th cause is the efficient cause. Now, efficient here is a misleading word. The efficient cause of an object describes how the object came to be. The efficient cause of a snowball is a person using their hands to compact a bunch of snow into a spherical shape. The efficient cause of a song is a person sitting down to write it. Chaeyoung's song Strawberry has the same material cause and the same final cause as any other song. It is a series of waves that exist to be pleasurable to listen to. But the efficient cause of Strawberry was Chaeyoung sitting down and writing the song. And in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty special, isn't it? Because of all the songs in the world, only 11 of them were written by Chaeyoung, so that's a fairly novel way for a song to come into existence. And the formal cause of Strawberry, then, is also novel, because remember that unlike most Twice songs, Strawberry does not mention its title anywhere, because Chaeyoung decided that adding the word strawberry wouldn't properly reflect the song that she wanted to write. Thus, it is different in form because of a difference in its creation. I made a drink that I call a strawberry kiss. It doesn't have a novel material cause, or a novel final cause, or a novel formal cause, but it does have a novel efficient cause. Because it's not every day that a new barista who doesn't even know what an Americano is goes into work on a day that he isn't scheduled to create a drink that was inspired by a line from a K-pop song for a Valentine's Day competition that ended up being cancelled anyway. And that does make it a pretty special drink, doesn't it? Even if materially it's exactly the same as any other drink on the menu, the process of creating the drink itself makes it novel and unique. At least Aristotle seems to think so. And I think what we're learning here is that the value of an object is never intrinsic. Nothing is ever materially interesting, nothing is ever novel in its form. The value of an object lies solely in the process by which it was created and the process by which it is enjoyed, because beauty, like novelty, is in the eye of the beholder. And there's a certain responsibility that comes with that, isn't there? Whenever you encounter something, it's up to you to determine its value because it has no value on its own. Perhaps it's a pretty day, and perhaps it's a bad day, perhaps it's a regular Starbucks coffee, and perhaps it's the fruit of an hour and a half of labor. Drinks, like days, can be viewed either way. So, next time that you're having a bad day, ask yourself if you're missing a pretty day. Because a day is never objectively pretty. It's up to you to decide. Anyway, if you have been, thanks for watching.